The Rolex 24 is less than 24 hours away. I'm going to be talking a little bit about it from a fan's perspective as somebody who's fairly new to it, what I expect and what I've seen over the course of the last couple years in watching it. And then I'm going to explain what this channel is all about as it is the first video. Stick around, find out next. How's it going, guys? My name's Tyler Isley, and this is Racing Pulse. Now, I want to start by giving a quick couple of shout outs, okay? First off, you see the TV in the background. Some of the pictures on there are from a good buddy of mine. His name's Jeremy Zarfos. You can find him on Facebook at Jeremy Zarfos Photography. That's the best place to find him. You can also find him on TikTok. I'm not sure about Instagram because I don't use Instagram. But I know he's on Facebook and TikTok, so you can go check him out over there. Find a load of pictures from around the central Pennsylvania racing scene. And even a little more. I know he's been getting into high school sports and doing some photography for them too. Really great guy. Really great work. I highly recommend checking him out. Now, what is Racing Pulse? This is my way to express my fan-sided opinion on everything motorsports, specifically within the NASCAR, IndyCar, World of Outlaws, High Limit, and USAC side of things. Now, that's not my limit, though. Now, I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to talk about IMSA a little bit, at least what I can talk about. You meet Callie now for the first time, as she goes and does whatever she's going to do. This is, like I said, just kind of a personal blog, if you will, of how I view everything. It may be controversial at times. We may talk controversial subjects or topics in racing. I got one lined up for the beginning of the week, but it's going to be a super, super fun time, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys stick around for the ride. It's not going to be anything short-lived. This is going to go on for years, whether or not it gains a lot of traction or not. I'm here for the long haul, so looking forward to it. You see Callie again. Lay down. Trying to get her so I'm not distracted. This is going to be kind of in the format of a live show. I don't really do a whole lot of cuts. I'm not one for editing. I like to leave everything kind of unfiltered as best as possible while staying as professional as possible. There is a fine line, and I like to try to find that line, especially here. If you watch my college football podcast, you know that sometimes it gets a little out of hand, so I try to make sure that this stays more in the professional route and professional mindset and scene. So in talking about all of that, I talked about IMSA. I love Monster Energy Supercross. I love the AMA Supercross scene. I'm probably going to talk about it a little bit. Not a whole lot. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. If there's a big story, I will. Otherwise, I'm not going to take a lot of time. I don't dig so far into the weeds with those things. But I do with NASCAR, I do with IndyCar, and I do with really anything sprint car racing. But I'm going to try to keep it within World of Outlaws and High Limit and USAC because I got some really good buddies at the Turn 2 Terribles podcast. One of those guys is Jeremy Zarfos, but the other one, Jimmy Barr, Chris Lynn. Those guys do a great job of covering the local scene in Pennsylvania and talking about a lot of local stuff. They get a lot of guys on there every week on Mondays to go in there and do their stuff. So I'm super excited to maybe potentially work with them in the future when I go up to Pennsylvania for some races. If they come down here for some races, it's going to be a really fun time and a really good effort. Now, on top of all those things, I should give you guys a little bit of something to expect going forward and what this is going to be. No, I am not an interviewer, and I don't plan to be too much. At most, may get some family members who have been involved in racing on here at times. But otherwise, I don't intend to do a whole lot of interviews, at least not for the time being. Now, maybe down the road that changes, that mindset changes. Maybe I get some drivers on here. Who knows? That's not the early intention, so understand that is kind of where I'm at right now. The goal is just to bring you guys the best information I can, while also giving the best opinion that I can give on it, and being fairly straightforward, whether I like or don't like it. I'm not paid by anybody to do this. Nobody's asking me, nobody's telling me to do everything a certain way or no way. This is all me, and this is all the way that I want to do it. So I am super excited to be able to make that happen in my own way. So with that said, I'm gonna just a little bit about myself. I grew up in Central Ohio. I've been around racing my entire life, but I've never been directly involved. I got a lot of friends who are in the racing industry. I do a lot of iRacing, so like I understand things to an extent, but that's not the real thing. So I'm not gonna utilize that in any topics or any points of concern. Although I will discuss iRacing and news that iRacing may bring out, and any racing video game news along the lines of World of Outlaws, High Limit, USAC, NASCAR, IndyCar. I'm saying those 5, and I'm going to continue to say those 5 because those are the 5 that I want you guys to understand there's an emphasis on. In NASCAR, yes, that does include all 3 series, and I'm going to also include the Cars Tour in that because I really have been intrigued by all the news and all the changes that have gone on around there. I'm super excited to see what they turn into and what that stuff becomes, because that has so much potential to be really good, really fast, with especially Dale Jr. and Kevin Harvick being 2 of the guys that are incorporated. We'll even talk about, we were going to talk about SRX. SRX is no longer. The season's been canceled, but Ray Evernham has come together with an IROC series. So we'll be talking about that too. Anyways, to get back on proper track here. I've never been involved in racing. I got family that was, though. My grandfather, along with his relatives, his brother, and nephews, I believe, were all a part of a extremely successful race team. They were able to capture a USAC championship, a USAC Silver Crown championship to be specific, back in 1984 with Dave Blaney. But they also had guys at the helm or behind the wheel, such as Keith Kaufman, Jack Hodenshield, Jack Hewitt, along with Dave Blaney, and some others that off the top of my head, I can't think of. So if there ever is an interview series that I do, I think the first one, I think you know who it's going to be. It's going to be my grandfather. I'm super excited. I've always wanted to talk to him a little more in depth and get this and get it kind of documented in a way that makes this like a really cool family deal. So I'm super excited for that. Other things you can expect. Now, I'm considering opening up a channel or a gaming channel for like iRacing and stuff like that, racing games. I don't know for sure, so I'm not gonna go out and throw that out there yet, but know that it's a possibility. I wouldn't say much of an opportunity, but it is possible. I have so many huge ideas and fun ideas that I'm really excited to do. The majority of them just involve getting to the racetrack. I have a lot of races on the schedule this year that I'm expecting to go to, planning to go to. There's nothing currently stopping me from going. So I have a lot of expectations of getting to races, being able to see everything but IndyCar in person this year. I'm extremely excited for it. I think it's going to be a really fun time, and I'm looking up so forward to getting this off and running and to a point where this becomes a reliable point and source for people to want to watch. So with that, I'm going to leave that there. We're 10 minutes in. I've talked enough about myself. I've given enough shout outs. It's time to get into this weekend's racing action. All right. It's time to get into the Rolex portion of this episode. So we're going to start by talking just about the field in general, okay? This is a little different from last year, if I'm not mistaken. Now, remember what I said in the beginning. I've only watched the last three, 21, 22, 23. I'm still fairly new to this. I still don't really understand everything that's going on because I'm not a road guy. I'm not a road course racing fan to any extent. Like, I like IndyCar. That's as close as it gets. And I know they run a lot of road courses, but I haven't ever gotten as far enough into it to truly understand it. And that's things that I'm still kind of learning. So I'm giving you guys, again, a fan perspective of what I view this race to be. So the GTP class, which is still fairly new, that I know, has grown from 8 cars last year. They're going to have 10 this year. Really excited. It was a pretty fun battle last year, if I'm not remembering incorrectly. It was a really, really fun thing to watch. LMP3 does not exist anymore, so the LMP2 class has grown a good amount, up to 13 entries, which sounds like a lot, but these cars are super expensive. So the LMP2 class goes up and gets a handful more entries. 13 there, super excited. The GTD and GTD Pro classes have 36 entries total. Super excited, and it also includes a brand new Ford Mustang that's going to be in action for the first time this weekend, and I'm extremely excited to see what that brings to the table for this race. Now, in saying all of that, what I'm going to say is that this is a race that is not one that is for people who can't sit and enjoy what you're watching. This is not going to be Daytona 500. This is not going to be NASCAR's plate races. This isn't going to be the Indy 500. This is a spectacle all in itself, and it's about building a car that is capable of managing a 24-hour race, capable of running 24 hours straight on a motor, on a transmission. That is a extremely tall task to build, and a lot of times parts fail. You watch it because you want to see this ingenuity, the amount of things that people can do to race cars to make them as fast as possible for as long as possible. And that's what we're going to get this weekend. I think this is probably going to be as competitive as it's been, maybe ever, but even over the last couple of years, the field continues to grow closer and closer together. It's a super, super fun race to watch. You just have to watch it understanding that you're not going to get the side-by-side racing, at least not between the same class members a lot of times, but just knowing that it's what's all behind it, how many man hours are behind it. Why I love endurance racing to the point that I do, because it's so fun, it's so unique to itself, and it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain any further than that. It's fun. If you haven't given it a chance, I really suggest that you do. It's a super fun, an exciting race to watch to an extent. Again, you have to understand what's behind it. You have to allow yourself to understand what's behind it, and not just say, oh, this is boring, there's nothing going on. There's a lot more to it than you think. Super excited. Am I staying up and watching all 24 hours? Absolutely not. I'm going to sleep. But I am going to watch every bit of it that I can, because it also marks the start of the racing season, officially. You know, I look at the Chili Bowl as the start of the racing season. I look at this as the start of the asphalt racing season. And I'm so excited. So let me lay out for you guys the way that this is going to be going forward. This is going to be a Monday through Thursday upload. Monday is going to be a weekend recap. I'm going to talk about everything that I can possibly fit into a video. It may go 30 minutes. It may go an hour. I don't know. But just know that that's kind of where we're looking at. Tuesday, Wednesday are going to be news, interesting storylines that come out of the weekend. Anything that I miss on Monday are going to, and maybe even Tuesday, are going to go into the Tuesday, Wednesday show. Thursday is going to be just a preview show for the weekend that's coming up. Talking about everything, getting some extra news out there. Just things like that. Again, eventually that will change, and it'll be Monday's the recap, Tuesday's extra news, Wednesday's going to be the preview, and then Thursday's going to be kind of a mailbag. Just sit back, hang out, relax, and and talk to random people, whoever wants to jump in. So that's what you can expect going forward. I'm super excited to get started. I thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, leave a like, subscribe if you've gotten this far. Turn the notifications on. I'm going to upload, like I said, Monday through Thursday. And I am, again, super excited to get started. So thank you guys so much.